folks, and welcome back inside Manhattan Basketball. Speaking with the head coach of Manhattan Men's Basketball, Steve Masiello, I'm Christian Heimall. Down the stretch they come, 2 more games remaining in the regular season. Coach, go back to last week, a 1-1 week.
I don't want to go back to last week.
Let's go back to the first half of Monmouth. George Beeman, 24 points in that first half. I asked you prior to the Siena game if that was a concerted effort by him or by you to get him going. You talked about trying to be above certain things in certain talks, but that may have been George's way of saying, "Don't doubt me out as a player of the year."
Yeah, that was definitely his way of saying that. This league's weird.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people talk who haven't accomplished anything. They have a lot of opinions about things. So it's tough to sit there and take the high road all the time, but it's something we preach to our guys. You know, per 40 minutes, George Beeman's been averaging 26 points per game. So, 10 rebounds. I mean, he's if he's not in your conversation for player of the year, I don't know. You should be stripped of all basketball credentials. But it doesn't surprise me because Romel Brown wasn't first team in the league. So it's, I don't know what people look at.
Have you ever seen a player have that kind of first? I mean, he was 6 of 6 from beyond the arc in the first half. Have you ever seen a guy that locked in to start a game?
No, I probably haven't. He was pissed.
Mm-hmm.
He was mad. He was insulted. He's done things the right way. He's a model citizen. He's a great student athlete. For him to be slighted that way, it's just tough. But he cares more about winning, and that's what he prides himself on. And I'm sure he'll have a lot more to say in the rest of the season.
You've talked about that, and obviously giving up personal aspirations for the team, and specifically we've talked about it with guys like Ashton Pankey, guys like Donovan Cage, Rashawn Stores, whoever it may be. But with regards to last year and Romel not being on the first team and George being slighted, how much does the rest of the team take it as an insult that their guys, their teammates, their brothers aren't getting that kind of respect?
I think you saw that at Monmouth.
Mm-hmm.
I think there was a concerted effort they were going to find George, and it's funny. And I actually like the guy who asked that question, Josh Newman. I think he's a very good job covering the MAC. It just so happened to be we had a conference call the week going into Monmouth. Josh asked the question, and Josh covers Monmouth. So it was just one of those kind of things. But listen, we've heard stuff like that all year from different people. Different coaches have said Adam Kemp's the best player or best big in the league, and other guys have said Billy's playing. And listen, I love Billy. I think Billy Barron is the player of the year right now. But I also think whoever wins the conference should get it. But that's just I'm one of 11 that has an opinion. But a lot of people with a keyboard have an opinion now. You have a keyboard, you have an opinion. You have access to an internet, you have an opinion. And people, think it's worth noting. I personally don't. I really could care less what a lot of these people say. All I care about is March 10th.
You talked a lot about, and have talked a lot about, learning from games, and obviously it's nicer to learn from a victory.
Yeah.
When you look at Siena, and we can talk or throw out the free throw percentage or whatever it was, but that was a game both teams played strong defense, holding each other below 40% shooting.
That's the first time you've been kind. I thought both teams just played putrid offense. It's the first time you've probably been positive. Interesting stats. Siena's one of those games. I don't want to take anything away from Jimmy, Rob Poole, Evan Himes. I like those kids. I think they're class acts. I think those kids go through a coaching change and handle it the way they have, and kind of. I pull for teams like that. You want to see teams like that because it seems like they're doing things the right way as an outsider looking in, and they're overachieving. So it's a great story to you want them to do well. So I don't want to take anything away from them. I'm a big believer, and there's a reason you didn't play well. The other team, and people don't like saying that, but I'm gonna give them the credit. That being said, I really feel like we didn't help ourselves that night. I didn't think we came out with the energy, the rage, the passion that we have in us in a night like that. I spoke to the guys before the game that going into that game, we have been together for 1,014 days since I took the job. And basically that we were here at this kind of apex of, in the next 10 days, a lot was going to be determined. Like I said, and then even in the next 17 days, a lot more would be determined. And basically those 1,014 days were coming down. So I thought we'd come out with a lot more I don't want to say fight, just a lot more to us than we did. And the funny thing is, on that 6-game win streak, I loved the team.
Mm-hmm.
I loved the team up till 6:45 Friday night, or 6:55 really Friday night. I liked us. I did not see that coming. I saw Fairfield coming. Mm-hmm. Like you could kind of see, your team, and you could see certain things coming. You could see a letdown maybe happening at Fairfield, I did not see that coming. So for me, that's really tough. Then you add the free throw shooting, which is just, it's disgusting. The amazing stat for us is we shoot. I did a study today actually, and I was just looking over the numbers. We did a study in our 6 wins where we're shooting from the line and our 5 losses. We're actually shooting better in the 5 losses from the line than we were in the 6 wins. But you can't consistently expect to go far in advance, deep in the tournament or in any type of, and for us right now, it's like people are saying, well, okay, I hope you're practicing free throws. I'm like, are you serious? Like, what do you think I'm doing here? Like, what do you think we're doing? Of course we're practicing free throws. I think we've actually made too big of a deal about it. When you see 90% free throw shooters going 4 for 9, that's mental. When you see 87% free throw shooters going 5 for 8, 5 for 9, that's mental stuff. Ramel, we got up to 60% through reps and hard work, was 1 for 9. Our second and third leading free throw shooters get to the line the most are AP and Ramel, our 2 worst free throw shooters. So it's tough. You got to make up for it in other areas. Although you want to improve in that area, when it becomes mental, you have to make a decision. Mm-hmm. Do we talk about it every day and work on it, or do you leave it alone? Well, we talked about it every day. Mm-hmm. We got worse. So now it's kind of like, all right, you gotta try a different approach and try it. But listen, if it helps us refocus, I'm all for it. But I'm pretty focused.
What about that building, that arena? It's so difficult for a road team, because you talked about it was probably going to be the toughest road environment you've seen in your 3 years here.
Yeah, I just thought it was, because when you go to Louisville and you go to Syracuse, there's more people, but it's kind of like, hey, thanks for coming, we're going to beat you now. Mm-hmm. And they don't really take you serious. You go to LaSalle, which was a really tough place, but it was only 3,000, I think, or 2,800, whatever it was. We've had some tough venues that we played at. At Illinois State was a pretty tough venue, mm-hmm. But we kind of came out and punched them right away. And I don't think they hated us. I don't think they respected us yet, mm-hmm. going into the game. So we've had, South Carolina, I don't think they knew about us. Siena knew about us. They hated us. And that's the way it should be. And now you're playing in front of 8,000 in a place that we've had tough times playing. We haven't won there in, I think, 9 years. January 30, 2006, I believe, 8 years. And we didn't perform particularly well. We didn't shoot particularly well. The game was ugly. And that's, I kind of think, if I'm Siena, that's how I would have wanted it. Ugly, slow it down, grind it, punch it, make it just look ugly. And they got a great win. And, you have to be better than that. So, we got to get that. We got to learn from it. But that's what happens. I read an interesting stat today. Let's say we're going to a Final Four. 2011, Kentucky lost 6 games on the road that year in conference play and they made it to a Final Four. So conference games on the road are just really hard to win. And I think we've done a good job, for the most part, of having some good conference wins, but we've also struggled at times, and that's where some of our bumps have come on the road in conference play, which is to be expected. And, you're talking about a margin of error. I think we've lost, take out Iona. We lost at Quinnipiac by, I believe, 5. Fairfield, I believe, was 4. The other night up there, I believe, was 4, if I'm not mistaken. So it's all been Quinnipiac here overtime. Comes down to a free throw here, a free throw there, a bucket here, a bucket there. They made some very tough shots, mm-hmm. late in the shot clock. It disheartens you, but you gotta be better than that.
As always, Coach, a couple of fan questions. Jeff is kind of on the same page as myself. And Smooth, we've been talking the last couple of days, Chris and I. How can you use Siena as maybe a blessing in disguise for this team going forward?
Well, you got to look at it twofold. I wanted to win a conference championship. Mm-hmm. Looks like Iona's going to win it. So congratulations to them and Tim, who I think has done his best coaching job since I've been in the league, and I think he's should be coach of the year. I think Tim has done a really, really good job, and to their players. If you look at it this way. Let's say you were coming in and it's kind of the Wichita State theory. Can they run the table?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they can. You know, no one would say you don't need a loss. I don't believe you need a loss to refocus.
Right.
Now, is it a little harder because maybe your urgency isn't there, a little complacency sets in? Yeah, that could be. So did this loss get our attention to refocus us for this weekend, next week? Okay, if it did that, great.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not a big believer in that. You know, but some people say this, some people say this. I think where it just really could refocus you is in the standpoint of when you sit down and you meet with your team and you meet with your players individually and you talk to them about being 100% emotionally there. Listen, you might not have scored the way you normally do. You might not have done this, but did you leave it all there? You know, did every loose ball you take pride in getting you the first to the floor? Where was your energy? Where was your emotion? Where was your passion? And I did the analogy where I took a matchbook and I said, listen, Donovan Cates won the Ryder game at home first. Mm-hmm. We're up 20. They cut it to 4-6. Donovan comes in the second half, big three, rebound, major defensive play, another three, separates the game. Rich Williams won the Marist game at home for us. South Carolina, I think Mike and George combined for almost 50 points, but AP and Rich's mentality and energy won the game for us. At Niagara, Shane Richards taking a charge, won the play for us, won the game for us. Those are plays that win games. Where was your mind at for that? And I said, all this team needs because of talent is one little spark. And I did I took a matchbook. I kept striking the matchbook, and I said, you see the sparks? I only see the sparks. And then I took it once it lit, and I threw it in the garbage can, and the whole thing engulfed. And I said, then it leads to this. I said, you don't know what your spark could be. I said, but you're coming in, and you're thinking your spark means I need to get a big three, or I need to score 8 points. That's not the spark. The spark is a big block shot, the steal that you shot to Gap Bridge at Marist against Jamal Lewis out of the pick and roll, the Shane Richards charge, the Ramel Brown block. Those are the sparks you need. Is that where your head is? So if you could kind of regather your thoughts and understand, okay, I need to think this way, and I was thinking this way, then you're okay. And that's what you got to hope happens from. You know, and that's where you try to get refocused.
Eric, with the road season now done in the regular season, your fondest off-court memory from the road this year?
Fondest off-court?
Off-court.
The road is fun because you're getting everyone hates you. Canisius was really funny because, you know, the SEC when I was in college, you heard some really interesting things. You know, about your mother and family. I mean, they did their research. Then when I was at Louisville, West Virginia was a tough place. Like UNLV was, we went out to UNLV, and those fans were just, it's like they just came off a gambling baby. They were going to take it out on you, you know. Those fans were just brutal. But we're up at Canisius this year, and a very nice young man comes up to me dressed like Canisius, and he shakes my hand, and he says, Coach, I said, yeah, he goes, I'm a fan of yours, I follow you on Twitter, and you know, I want you to know what's getting ready to happen, I just want to apologize for it. And it's nothing personal. So I'm looking at him like, is this guy serious? So he apologizes to me before the game, which has never happened to me. So I'm like, how bad is this getting ready to get right now for us? Like, and they were sold out, they're right on you, and sure enough, it got pretty bad. After the game, I said, all right, now I know why he was apologizing. I mean, they didn't, but the fact that he apologized before is one of the funniest things I've seen. You know, and he said he was so nice about it. You know, he was kind of like, you know, leave it to Beaver. You know, like, I'm coach, and I'm just a big fan, and just want you to know what's getting ready to happen. Don't take it personal. I'm looking at him like, all right, don't take, you know. So it was funny.
Final weekend of the regular season, 2 home games against Iona and Canisius, with 2 of the top teams in the league here at home. I don't want to call it a test, but how nice is it to have this to be prepared for the MAC tournament?
It is. You know, it is. It's one of those things where you have Iona coming in, who's playing probably the best basketball of anyone in the league, and Canisius coming in, who's a very, very dangerous team, we're still right there for that 3 or 4 spot. What happens is, though, there's so many scenarios that play out, you overthink it. Mm-hmm. And what do I mean by that? It's like, you're like, okay, well, if we split, this happens, and if Marist and Ryder and Siena do this happens, and if you win both, this happens, and you kind of forget, just worry about Iona, you know, just and then let the chips play, and that's why the week off I don't like. I'd rather just get to the game, especially coming off a loss like that. You're pulling your hair out of your head all the time. But you know, listen, I'd much rather be home. We're not 100% healthy. I'm not going to get into that. We have a pretty bad injury that I'm hoping we could kind of bounce back and one, either make up for it, which is going to be a big loss, or two, he can get into some type of game shape, if not by Friday, then hopefully for Sunday, and if not by Sunday, he's ready for the conference tournament, which we want to make sure we're ready for, 100% healthy for. So, you want to go into your conference on a good note playing, but this league is so crazy. Iona went into it last year, I think losers of like 5 of their last 6, and then win the conference, and you look at like a 1 seed hasn't won the league tournament. I mean, it's just since I think Siena, there's so many like crazy sidebars in this conference that just really would mess a psychiatrist up. I mean, mentally, like it'd make a psychiatrist need a psychiatrist. But I'm very happy to be home, very happy to be back in Dratty. I'm very happy to put these seniors out on a good note. I think one of the better senior classes, if not the best, in the history of Manhattan. And it's great to, 2 big rivalry games.
You brought them up. First time ever, 3 active 1,000-point scorers at Manhattan College. This senior class on Sunday going to be honored prior. What is it for this year for you in your 3rd season? What have those 3 meant to you?
It's like my first year, Kadani, and I think it was Jib and Liam. It was my first year, so that kind of meant something into its own. And now your second year, Roberto and Mo were just talk about class acts as young men and just guys. And then this year, it's kind of like, you spent 3 years with these guys. And it's weird because, Barry brought all 3 of these guys in. They're great people. They're great players. But I feel so close to them. There's such a bond between us. And to see the transformation of each one of these guys, whether it's been Mike in the classroom and on the court and his body and his focus, or George is just kind of becoming the all-around player that he's become, and then the growth of him as a basketball player, as a person, as a leader, and Ramel, and just the megastar. I mean, literally the megastar he has become from this pudgy little kid from Brooklyn. It's really, it's almost storybook-like. To have it all on the same day, it's tough because you don't get. I don't know if I'll ever coach a guy like George Beaton again. I don't know if I'll ever coach a guy like Mike Brown again, or Mike Alvarado, and I'm losing them all at once. And I'm not talking about their talent. The amazing thing is the talent, and people don't understand this. The talent's easy to replace. There's a lot of good basketball players out there. I'm not going to find anyone with Mel Brown's character. I'm not going to find anyone that hated to lose like Mike Alvarado hates to lose. I'm not going to find anyone that took things personal. When I showed George Jr. what someone said, he's on like a, he's like on a mission to take out everyone. That's what makes them so special. That's what makes them such fun to coach. The talent is the talent. But there's talent. There's always talented players. So that part for me is going to be tough, and that's why I've just tried to enjoy coaching these guys really this year and have fun with them.
Iona on Friday. We know it's going to be a packed house here at Dratty. A reminder for students watching. 700 wristbands are going to be given out prior to the game Thursday and Friday at the Dratty Gym ticket office, so you can get those in advance to be able to be here for the nationally televised game. When you look at the way the Gaels play, you said probably playing the best basketball of anybody in the MAC right now, it seems as though David Lowry has been kind of that spark for them as well.
Spark. I'd say he's a little more than that. David Lowry's been an inferno just like that, half of Westchester. David, that's an interesting way to put David Lowry. He is, I think, what's so impressive about David is when you watch him right now, is his maturity on the court as a basketball player from the standpoint of he's not fazed by whether he's on the court, coming off the bench, starting. He's just playing basketball. He's playing really, really good basketball. He's giving them a legitimate guy that it puts you in a real predicament now. Do you leave him in single coverage? Do you double down on him? Do you leave shooters? Really changes the game. Then they come at you in a lineup where there's 5 out, where they're basically going to come at you from every position and try to go off the bounce and shoot it over you and do different things. They have an answer for every kind of answer. Every time you checkmate, they checkmate again. And that's what good teams do. And that's why I just think Tim has done a phenomenal job of really utilizing his personnel in a wonderful manner. I think Sean Armand has done as well as any job. I am a huge Sean Armand fan because there's no ego with that young man. It's all about team ego. He's almost taken a step back for the betterment of the team because they don't have that Momo or Glove or that dominant guy. But him and AJ together are almost you can't stop him because if you concentrate on AJ, well, Sean's going to get off. You concentrate on Sean, AJ's going to get off, and it's like Batman and Robin. Then you throw David in, then you throw Trey in, and they just have so many. Mike Poole had a great game against us. They have so many pieces that can step up. That's what good teams do. And that's kind of so I'm a fan of theirs. I think they're doing things the right way and they're playing terrific. It's going to be a very tough matchup for us that we have to be ready for. And I think it's one of the better rivalries as we've spoken about there.
Finally, Coach, how will you know that this team has the same passion, that anger, whatever it was, during that 6-game winning streak come Friday night?
It's one of those things. I mean, we're going to be ready to play Friday night, as is Iona. And we're going to go into this thing, understanding. Our goal hasn't changed. You want to win as many championships as you can. We wanted to win the conference championship. Doesn't look like that's going to be possible. That's okay only if we win the conference tournament championship. If we don't do that, then I'm going to be probably on Gilligan's Island for a while. But, it's one of those things we have to understand when this team plays well, what makes us play well, and then we got to concentrate on to do those things. I'm going to give the opponent a lot of credit for forcing us not to do these things, but I also believe a lot of it starts with us. And when we come out with the mindset to do, and when we talk about this, do what we do. When we do that, I think we're a good team, and I think we're very tough for a lot of teams to beat. But it's one of those things. If you can't get up for Iona Manhattan, you probably shouldn't be in competitive sports. So I'm sure not only will our guys be ready, but so will Iona.
Manhattan and Iona Friday night here at Dratty, a nationally televised game on ESPN 2. And if not, you can listen live on GoJaspers.com as always. Feel free to tweet us your questions at GoJaspers. You can email us gojaspers@manhattan.edu, and you can follow Coach on Twitter at Steve_Masiello. Coach, as always, thanks a lot for that time. Thanks for joining us inside Manhattan Basketball.